All right, guys. So news just came out that they're going to have an Oscar host this year, or should I say hosts? Anyway, they're going to have Oscar hosts this year. It's been a first time in a while. I think the last one to host it was Jimmy Kimmel. And if you guys remember, there was this whole scandal involving Kevin Hart. He said some homophobic tweets, and because of that, they decided, you know what? No more hosts at the Oscars. But now they said, fuck it, let's get hosts. So the people hosting are Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes. Um, I have a lot to say about this. First of all, are these three women talented? I'd say two of the three are, and the other is Amy Schumer. That was so mean, but it's kind of true. Listen, Regina Hall, I actually like everything she's in. I like her in everything she's in, but I don't like everything she's in. So like I don't like movies like Think Like a Man or Naked and stuff like that, but she is a charismatic person, I'll give her that. Amy Schumer, it's one of those people I just never understood the appeal. She kind of just rambles on about her vagina all the time, and it gets old after a while. And I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, but guys joke about their dick all the time. But for instance, a stand-up that I really like is Louis C.K. He doesn't just do dick jokes. Like he'll do it occasionally, like maybe once every other special, but it's not just sex jokes. Amy Schumer is literally just sex jokes. Besides, ever since she said her crotch smells like a barnyard animal, it's like I can smell her now. Anyway, and Wanda Sykes, I actually like Wanda Sykes. There's no problem there. The main problem I have with this is that there's like zero connection between the three. So you can't really tell if they're gonna have chemistry or not. And it kind of gives me, it makes me think of James Franco and Anne Hathaway or something when they just tried pairing James Franco with Anne Hathaway, and they were just like, sure. But I have a document here. Let's go through it. So first of all, leading up to this, when they said that they were gonna have a host, there was rumors going around that Tom Holland might host, and alongside perhaps Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I didn't like that pick. If anything, I would have preferred just Andrew Garfield, but I feel like I'm starting to get a little Tom Holland fatigue, and if I would have seen him at the Oscars, I just wouldn't have been interested because he's in a lot of shit, and he has like that Uncharted movie coming out, so I'm just like a little on Tom Holland. I'm sure he would do a good job, but it's like it doesn't make me excited to see an Oscar. And I'm thinking like a producer. I'm pretending I'm the producer of the Oscars right now. Who would I pick? Uh, anyway, Pete Davidson was also rumored. Just like Amy Schumer, I never got the appeal of Pete Davidson. He's kind of just like some depressed dude with like bleached hair, and everyone thinks he's funny. And he just does like, I don't know, man. And I'm like, is that the joke? Like his reoccurring character on SNL, his name is like Chad or something, and it's like that's the joke. He's just like, okay, I don't know. Not a big fan of Pete Davidson, is what I'm saying. Wasn't a fan of either pick, and actually, the picks they went with, is more interesting than both of these people, minus Amy Schumer, of course. Um, anyway, here are some people they could have brought back. They could have brought back Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart actually did a really good job when he did the Oscars, and he's kind of making a comeback. He's done with his hiatus. He had a hiatus when Trump got elected. He didn't want to do comedy anymore, but now he's back on Apple TV. So that could have been like a good way for him to kind of promote his own thing, and meanwhile, it would have been a good show, I think. Seth MacFarlane is one of those hosts everyone hated. And I thought Seth MacFarlane, in my lifetime anyway, was my favorite Oscar host. I thought he really was raunchy, yes, and that's what people usually don't like him for. He did that boob song and everyone got pissed. But you can tell that he had a love of film, and I think that supersedes political correctness. The main thing an Oscar host should have is a love of cinema, because it's a show about cinema. And I feel like the reason why the Oscars are struggling and why I don't really like watching the Oscars anymore is that it became less geared film wise and more geared on like other useless stuff, fashion, politics, um, just stuff that don't pertain to film. And Seth MacFarlane to me did a good job at like steering it and making it film oriented. Even that boob song that got so much controversy, at least like it was informative about film. He talked about which films had some nips, you know? And he did that whole bit with the sock puppets and they're snorting cocaine like in the movie Flight. I thought he did a really good Oscar, actually. Um, yeah, I feel like Seth MacFarlane's underrated when it comes to Oscar hosts, and that's coming from someone I'm not even the biggest Seth MacFarlane fan, especially since he like started. Apparently, the Orville is good, but the only thing I remember seeing him last in was like Ted 2 and Million Ways to Die in the West. So, but that said, I think Seth MacFarlane would have been great. Steve Martin, and you add Martin Short on that, perhaps. They have like a comedy tour and they do stand up comedy together. They have like a 2-man show. That would have been interesting. Steve Martin already hosted the Oscars, and it would have been a more traditional pick. But guys, I have a list of 10 people, new faces, that would have revamped the Oscars 100%. Go ahead, Oscars. Go ahead, ABC. You can steal my idea for next year. These are the 10 picks that would have made for the best Oscars. Now, I want to give an honorable mention before I start, because I kind of feel like it would never happen. But if you got the Jackass crew to host the Oscars, Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass crew, and they're just kicking each other in the nuts as they're presenting awards, yeah, that's probably okay. Let's get started. Enough moving around. Here are Paul's picks. Number 10, I would have said Tig Notaro. Tig Notaro, at first I didn't really like her, but then like I started liking her cynical humor, and now I'm like, you know what? That's what the Oscars need a bit more of. Ever since the Golden Globes stopped, there's kind of like that missing gap of like a very cynical host, and I feel like Tig Notaro could bring that. That's just me anyway. Number 9, Eric Andre. Eric Andre is the funniest person right now, in my opinion. Just he makes me laugh. I'd love to see Eric Andre host the Oscars. It would be so weird. It would be so absurdist, but it would kind of be special, and I'm sure he would do a good job. Eric Andre for the Oscars. Number 8, John Mulaney. John Mulaney is a bit more of like a traditional person. He's a lot more along the lines of Steve Martin, but he also has a slight edge to him. He's not all that polished. He's like still a little filthy sometimes. And I feel like that balance, if the Oscars are trying to ride that balance, John Mulaney would be good. Number 7, Jim Carrey. I thought of Jim Carrey, but then if you can add Jeff Daniels, go for it. But mostly Jim Carrey. I don't need to say much about it. The guy is an icon when it comes to film anyway. He's done drama, he's done comedy. Have him host the Oscars, it would be funny. Number 6, Dave Chappelle. I don't think they would let him host the Oscars ever since they had that whole Kevin Hart controversy. They're going to be very selective of who they pick, and they're not going to go like seek out anyone who has a mild history of some controversy or other. That said, Dave Chappelle would do a fucking good job because he's Dave Chappelle. And you know, he would kind of roast the people in the audience. And like I said, ever since Ricky Gervais left, just kind of that missing hole. I'd say go for it. Whoops. Oh, spoilers. All right. 5, Ricky Gervais. I don't need to say anything. I love seeing rich Hollywood elitists getting roasted. Okay? And you know what? Like, when you put on a good show, people are going to be interested in the movies regardless. So I don't think if he's roasting people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to watch that movie now. Like, people are going to be more interested in the movie because he's roasting them. And even though he roasts people pretty hard, there is some sincerity to what he's saying. it's not just like vicious. It's not like when I think of like a Patrice O'Neal, when he would like when he did the roast of Charlie Sheen, he was just vicious with people. He was like, oh, I'm gonna make you fucking cry. Ricky Gervais is not like that. He roasts people, but he's still playful enough with it. So yeah, Ricky Gervais. Number 4, the Muppets. ABC is owned by Disney. Disney owns everything, including the Muppets. Have like a Muppet show, like a musical Muppet show, where they present the awards. I think that would be cool. I'm a Muppets fan. I don't think the Muppets are all that popular these days, though. Every time Disney tries to do something with the Muppets, it fails miserably. They've been mishandling that IP, just like every other IP Disney owns. But I feel like if you had the Oscars be like the Muppet Show, it could work, you know. Here's my oddball pick. I needed to throw in one oddball pick. Guys, I'm a big fan of stoner comedy. Like those stoner comedies of the 90s and the early 2000s, like Dude, Where's My Car? I say bring it back. Let's have Ice Cube and Chris Tucker host an Oscars. Who's with me? Nobody. Lastly, before number 1, Conan O'Brien. He would do a fantastic job. Everyone loves Conan O'Brien. It's a safe pick. His history, his Twitter, his social media is squeaky clean. Let me just turn off my furnace. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, he's squeaky clean, but he's still got an edge to him, you know? He's like the perfect balance. If you want a little bit of an edge, you go with Conan O'Brien. If you want some traditional stuff, and I'm pretty sure he can do some like movement and some dancing or somewhat. He's a lanky dude. I can picture him doing some dancing. All right, here's my number 1 pick. I call it the canceled troupe. I put a few names here: James Franco, Louis C.K., Harvey Weinstein, Armie Hammer, Ellen DeGeneres, and DaBaby. I just threw in DaBaby because fuck, why not? But anyway, you can like even put more canceled people in here. But I want every canceled person in Hollywood to host the Oscars. And they're just like lined up doing a musical number. And they're like, I'm sorry, so sorry for everything that I did. I'm just kidding around, but that would be a pretty funny thing. Here's my real number 1. My real number 1 is actually Bill Burr. I saw Bill Burr host the ESPYs, I think it was, and he did that little segment. He hosted like a little part of the Emmys. He presented an award. And guys, who doesn't want to see Bill Burr host something? He would go so crazy. It would be a straightforward, to the point, no singing or dancing, but it would be like very sharp. It would be very sharp. I don't know. And maybe Bill Burr showed up in The Mandalorian. Maybe ABC is like, we like this guy, though. It's never going to happen. What am I saying? But Bill Burr hosting the Oscars would be my number 1 pick. I'd die to see it. Good old Billy Burr, Billy Brown tits. All right. That's all I got. Who would you want to see host the Oscars? Let me know.